Titans podcast studio. Titans TV. Here we go. Oh, man. We live, baby. We live. We lit, baby. We lit. You already know we've got Vocab Malone up in the building right now. Yo, camera. I beg the camera just switch over to Vocab. What we saying? Yeah, baby. Vocab, do you have any quick words to say before we really start the show off? Oh, yeah, you got this. You got this. Don't worry.
Yeah, just I'm glad to be here with everybody in the studio. Hope we have a good conversation. That's it.
Jeez. So, y'all who don't know right now, right? We got Vocab Malone. I call him the Hebrew killer because when he's out on these streets, he does street apologetics. If you don't know about that, you're gonna need to check out his channel. What's your channel, Vocab?
Just Vocab Malone at YouTube, from YouTube.
Just Vocab Malone YouTube, Vocab Malone Twitter, Vocab Malone Instagram, Vocab Malone Facebook. Find him there. So what we're gonna do right now, okay? We're gonna have a nice, quick interview. Then after the interview is finished, we're gonna do some quick, hot seat, hot fire rounds. We've got different people from different persuasions, different points of view that'll be coming on, asking Vocab Malone some questions, getting involved with some form of dialogue, discussion, and then if we can get it heated, I want to turn it up a little bit. I'm just going to turn off the AC, turn up the heater, and then let's get it hot. That's my aim today. So Family Tree, if you're tuned in right now, do me a massive favor by hitting the like button, okay? And then sharing this wherever you can share it, and letting everybody know that we're live right now. Vocab Malone in the studio, Titans TV. Let's go, baby. Let's go. So, Vocab.
Yes, sir.
You are down in the UK. Like, this isn't the first time you've been in the UK, but you're down, and you've been down for a couple of weeks. Tell us, what have you been doing?
Came out here for 2 different conferences that were at various local churches that are designed to help Christians be able to talk primarily with Muslims. And then I always got to have a side quest. My side quest is to go find some Hebrew Israelites.
Yes.
I went to Speaker's Corner twice as well.
Yes.
Did a couple interviews.
Okay. But I want to know, you know what I want to know? I want to know about the NAPC conference. Let us know, because we had some big names coming down to that. They came down. A few individuals did several presentations. Did you do a presentation?
I did 2 at the first one and 1 at the second, yeah.
All right, tell me. Come on, enlighten us.
Sure.
Let's get inflamed. Let's turn up the fire, because right
yeah.
now, this is gonna be exclusive content because it hasn't dropped yet on the YouTube streets. It hasn't dropped yet. So let us know.
I did it on anti-blackness in Islam.
Jeez! Hey, Muslims in the building. Oh man, let's go.
Wish you would ask that before the show.
Yeah.
That way they would have already known. And then the other one was using the book of Acts, which is right out of the Gospels, as a model for evangelism.
Yeah.
And so giving it sort of the green light to be able to talk to Muslims in any public place, because when you see the apostles' activity, they're talking to people in any public place they can. Yeah. Sometimes even going into synagogues. Now, I'm not advocating going into a mosque or something. That's not what the parallel is about. So I just went through the passages and see how they did it, and the idea is try to imitate that, basically.
Yeah, okay.
Those are the 2 main things I did. I did some other smaller things, but that was the 2 main things.
And what would be your top 3 presentations at the NAPC?
Top 3. Last year I did one on Gnostic sources in the Quran. Thought that went well.
I love that, but I'm saying, I know you're
the
big
other
enough your
ones?
ego, but I'm saying everybody else is
you said you're saying, okay, other guys.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not my favorite in the sense of I'm like, yeah. It's more just like food for thought. Jay Smith does these historical critiques in which he basically implies Muhammad didn't exist. I don't agree. But the reason why it's food for thought is it enables us to think about the validity of sources that have not always been really skeptically or even sometimes scholastically looked at. So I like the conversation. I totally disagree with the conclusions. I don't even think it's possible. So I'm not like, I don't know. No, I don't think it's possible. But I like the talk because I think there's some important discussion to be had in there. So I say that one for that, and he does a variation of that frequently. This one's going to be controversial, but it's informative to me as an outsider, hearing about what they term as, I'm an outsider, so I didn't come up with this, the Islamization of Britain.
Ooh, yeah, that's
find
a hot
it
topic right now.
Yeah, and I could tell when I'm there because I'm like, whoa, and I'm kind of more listening, at those points.
Okay.
But those are two that are pretty important that I really tune into. And then the third one will be my own Gnostic sources in the Quran.
Yeah. Okay, I need you to. Ooh, okay. Drop me a couple. I can see it already. I'm looking at Infancy Gospel of Thomas.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
I'm seeing that in there. What other sources?
The idea of Jesus not dying on the cross, that one is more tangential. The Infancy Gospel of Thomas is sort of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But there are Gnostic Gospels that have these odd ideas like this, the Gospel of Peter. Jesus is on the cross and people are crying, but Christ is over here laughing.
Oh, yes.
Saying, why do you laugh? That's not me. Here I am. And so you see these versions. Now they have a worldview that puts them in that place that's different than what the Quranic reasons seem to be there implied, or perhaps the larger Islamic theology around this idea. But there's other potential lines as well. That'd be one that I would probably bring out.
Cool. I'll do a little pushback, I don't know. This is my own thoughts. I don't think the Quran is even going down those lines. I think it's the tafsir, so the commentaries, put that into the text.
You mean Surah 157?
Yes.
You think Jesus did die on a cross?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Oh.
But that's a story for another day. That's a story for another day because,
well, you and I are going to agree on that one, but aren't you an atheist?
No. See, this is another thing.
Aren't you an agnostic?
This is another thing.
Aren't you a Kalamicist?
Yes, there you go.
So you're a self-idolater then?
Something like that. Like that. No.
Classic narcissist.
I saw something that one of the good brothers dropped, and he's like, "No," and I was like, "Cool. Let me just relax your mind a little bit," because I always say I've got atheistic tendencies.
That's what I pick up on.
Yes, and I'm like, okay, but are you not asking what do you mean by that, Kalam?
You want to take over a country and murder everyone in it? Just that's a joke. You said atheistic tendencies.
Yes, atheistic tendencies.
Because that's what they do when they get in power. From Mao Zedong to Stalin to Lenin.
I'm like, listen, it just simply means that I am very skeptical of religious claims. That's all. I utilize critical thinking. That is it seems to be atheistic. It's not atheistic, but it just seems to be atheistic. That's what I mean by that.
I would challenge you and say that atheistic thinking is not synonymous with critical thinking because atheists have no basis in their own worldview for critical thinking because they can't explain the laws of logic. Because the laws of logic are not material, they're eternal, they're immutable, they're universal, they're invisible. They don't match anything in the atheistic worldview.
Yeah.
So where do they come from? I would say they're a reflection of the mind of God. The atheist says, they're just always here. They're just a brute fact of the universe.
Yeah.
So they mock us for saying, everything you guys say, you just say God did it. You ask them fundamental baseline questions about metaphysics, you know what they say? I don't know. So pick which 3 words you want. And they think that atheism explains more? I don't think so.
Jeez, God did it? Oh, I don't know. I like that. Allahu alam. Allahu alam. All right, cool. So I want to push this forward, though. Because I think and this is touching on me a little bit, because I know my Kemetic community.
Pause.
Big pause. The Kemetic community is going to get at me if I don't address these things, okay? Because I self-identify, okay, as a person of the Kemetic community, ish.
Yeah.
There's a big ish there, because I don't agree with the Kemetic community and what they get up to. I just simply say I like Kemetic philosophy. That's me. I deal with Kemetic philosophy. If you say, oh, Kemetic religion, no. I always say I'm a cultural Christian. Okay, but I like Kemetic philosophy. Just the same way I like Greek philosophy, I like Kemetic philosophy.
So you're a nice guy, but hella confused.
No, nope.
That's what I'm picking up
Nope.
here.
Nope. Because, Christians, they utilize, imagine that. Christians utilize, Aristotelian logic. And does that make you a Greekicist?
No, because
You just
Aristotle,
like that philosophy, that way of thinking.
Aristotle is formalizing in words laws that already exist. So it's pre-Aristotelian, the laws of logic. You see what I'm saying? He's formalizing them,
Okay,
and then people are building on that work. But he doesn't think he's inventing them; he's discovering them, which implies they're already there.
Yeah.
So I understand why someone would say that, but I would say it's not using Aristotle's logic per se. It's Aristotle's talking about the logic inherent in the universe because it's an orderly, rationally designed universe, including the laws of logic which govern proper thinking.
Yeah.
And so if we're using critical thinking, it's not because of Aristotle, but Aristotle made in the image of God can also discover what's in the universe. It's ordered, which again, paganism has no explanation for why the universe is ordered. In fact, what's the big fight in Egypt? Keep out the chaos. So they always have chaos and order. Our story is it's inherently ordered. The disorder comes because of sin. And that's the real disagreement with most systems, whether it be Islam or Gnosticism or atheism, the problem of sin and what to do about it.
Definitely. So, but I want to hold you onto the Kemet right now. I want to hold you on that, okay? So I want to know, what is your major pet peeve with Kemet?
Peeve with Kemet. Honestly, sometimes I don't even know what Kemet is if we're talking about modern practitioners, because I don't find most of them to be faithful to what the ancient religion actually appears to be.
I agree.
Now, there's another question. What is the ancient religion? Are we talking about one certain dynasty? Are we talking about one certain city? What exactly is it? It's not a monolithic thing. It almost seems like a way to kind of just take a smorgasbord of anything that came out of Egypt over thousands of years and say, I believe that. But then you start talking to a practitioner about what they believe about it. Here's what you get. Those gods didn't really exist. They're avatars for intellectual thought waves, which are describing patterns in the universe.
You're killing me.
Or, yeah, they really existed, but those gods are actually aliens. They're describing superpowered beings. We might think of gods, but they're not.
Yeah.
The guy Tahuti that plays with the snake when he does debates.
Yep.
Every now and then you meet one who thinks they're real. Super rare.
Yeah.
Maybe Jabari, but I'm not sure if he even fully believes in the gods are real. But he's the closest I find to seem to be like a true believer, because he walks around doing what he calls blessings, but look like magic spells, and has a special stick and wears special colors to draw upon certain energies from the gods. That seems somewhat legitimately superstitious, and by the legitimate, I'm saying like the Egyptians were, them and their cats.
See, I know. Hey, listen, Kemetics, yeah. I need you guys to come on in, right, and defend the Kemetic religion, because I can't. I know I can't, because I'm not in the same boat as you. But I definitely want you guys to come on in, okay? But what about Shaka Ahmos?
Fascinating individual. Fascinating, seriously. He invited me into his house in Harlem. Yeah. So to me, I always sort of owe a debt of gratitude, because that's real to me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in his house talking to him.
Yes.
Yeah, he gets passionate, and yeah,
very passionate.
But the thing is, if you can put up with it when he's right next to you and you endure, I think he has respect for you by the end.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened there.
Yeah.
I think. He does know a lot of interesting certain things, but he gets a lot of stuff that's fundamental wrong, and he can give good speeches. If he would just be a little bit better of a listener, we could have great dialogues. Yeah. Because he is intelligent, but he's not always interested in listening. He'll hear a word and think he knows what you're saying, but it's like, whoa, and then he'll make a whole speech on it. It's like, bro, that's not even what I say. So I like Shaka Atmos.
Yeah.
Find him interesting and willing to study, and it's like he's ever changing, like he's learning to an extent.
Yep.
But I just want him to be a little bit better listener. Like maybe we all could be. That's not a personal affront to him, you know.
That was the best conversation I've heard from a Kemetic practitioner with an other group, i.e. a Christian.
Good.
Yours with Jabari, yeah, I didn't rate that. The other ones, but yours and Shaka, there were so many different things I was learning in that conversation. You was bringing out the technology, the different media. We've got books here, now can travel and this and that. And I'm like, what? Oh my God. Okay, cool. But let me pull you up on this one though. Let me pull you up on this because I didn't like it. Because you dropped a little sly comment on Shaka. It was like, no, it was mainly touching on Sarnetta. It's like,
Pause.
Why for that? Why for that? Hey, you've been in London too long. You've been in London too long. But it was to do with being made in the image of God. And then he was like, Sarnetta, he came from a fish. And I was like, hold on, but you do realize that ancient Egyptian literature has that 2000 plus BCE that they were created in the image of God.
Oh, I don't consider Sarnetta a Kemeticist, though.
No. But you're talking to Shaka, but then you dropped a slide.
No. When I said came from a fish, I was talking to Sarnetta.
Yeah.
I think the idea of the image of God in relationship to Kemetic theology is much more convoluted than that's what they thought. Here's why. I have seen some evidence that it's reserved only for royalty. Yeah. Kings are made in the image of God. I don't know about the average Egyptian walking down the street. They're all made in the image of God? Not so certain.
The average Egyptian was made in the image of God. It was only in the 13th dynasty that it was specific to the kings.
Oh. Yeah. So which one is it?
So the original is that they're all made in the image of God.
So the original one because it's the earliest?
Because of the earliest, the earliest one.
So then all of our Egyptian forms of religion should only be imitating the earliest forms, correct?
Repeat that again.
If a person's practicing Kemet, then based on what you said, they should only be practicing the earliest forms, because that's the original, right?
No.
Okay, but you just said image of God got changed over here. Back here, the original one, which is the right one, that's the one we should be looking at. Well, wouldn't that go across the board? All the earliest forms of the Egyptian religion are the ones